I want to start today with a sequence. It's 6 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Please tell me you aren't reading your banking PIN out loud to the entire internet right now.
How could
Well,
I were? Honestly, I wish I were that innocent. But no, that sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is kind of the star of our show today.
Oh,
It is arguably the laziest password in human history. It's the kind of password you use for a throwaway account on a website you never plan to visit again. And yet, according to the documents we're diving into today, it was the security protecting the personal data of millions.
it's the cockroach of cybersecurity.
Yes.
No matter how much technology we build, no matter how much AI we invent, that password,
Yeah.
it just survives. It refuses to die.
It really does. And today, we are unpacking a story that feels like a dark comedy. We're looking at McDonald's. And specifically, a situation where they had this futuristic, high-tech AI chatbot named Olivia guarding the front door of their hiring process.
Right.
She's sophisticated, she's helpful, she's always on. But the key under the mat, you guessed it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It is a perfect storm of irony, isn't it? You have cutting-edge artificial intelligence on the surface and just prehistoric security hygiene underneath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is why we're doing this deep dive today. It's not just about one funny password. As we look through the sources, I realize we're looking at what I'm calling a cyber sandwich of disasters.
I like that, a cyber sandwich.
Yeah.
It feels appropriate given the subject. So what are the layers here?
Okay, so layer 1 is the oops moment. That's the McDonald's U.S. exposure involving their vendor, Paradox AI. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 story.
Got it.
But then layer 2 is much darker. If you look at the news from January 2026, we have a completely separate situation. This one involves McDonald's India and a ransomware group called Everest.
Right. And while the password story gets the headlines because it's relatable, I mean, everyone has used a bad password at some point.
Yeah.
The combination of these two events is what really matters.
How so?
Well, you have basic human negligence on one side, and then you have sophisticated, extortion-based ransomware on the other. It really highlights the full spectrum of what companies are up against.
So that is our mission today. We are going to unpack the oops moment and the stick 'em up moment.
Yeah.
But then we need to talk about solutions. Because if humans are failing at the basics, how do we actually stop this?
Exactly.
We have a stack of white papers here from Symantec about their Synapse ecosystem and Active Directory defense. We're going to see if their approach, building a digital immune system, is the answer.
And that is the crucial pivot, because as we'll see, you simply cannot rely on people to stop clicking things or to pick perfect passwords every time. You just can't. You need a system that catches what the humans miss.
So let's start with the Olivia incident. This feels like a masterclass in how to do everything wrong while trying to look high-tech. Walk us through the setup here. What exactly is this platform?
Sure. So the context is the McKire platform. If you have applied to a McDonald's franchise recently or, know a teenager who has, you've probably interacted with this.
Okay.
It is a system designed to screen job applicants efficiently. The face of it is Olivia, an AI chatbot provided by a vendor called Paradox AI.
And Olivia is supposed to make life easier, right?
Huh.
She's not some sinister robot.
Ideally, yes. She chats with candidates, asks them questions about their availability, collects their names, emails, phone numbers, all that time. Personally identifiable information, or PII, and schedules interviews. The technology itself worked fine. The AI did its job. The problem started with the humans building it.
This is where the researchers come in, Ian Carroll and Sam Curry. Now, usually when we talk about hackers finding these things, we imagine guys in hoodies in a dark room trying to steal millions. But that wasn't the vibe here, was it?
Not at all. This was pure professional curiosity. They weren't looking for a heist. They actually started investigating because they saw complaints online. Just regular people complaining that the bot's interface was clunky.
That's hilarious. So they weren't looking for a vulnerability, they were just annoyed by bad UI.
Exactly. And in the security world, a bad user experience is often smoke signaling a fire underneath. If the front end is sloppy, the back end might be messy too.
Makes sense.
So they start poking around the McKire web domain, and they find a login portal.
A login portal for whom?
It appeared to be for Paradox AI employees, the administrators, to manage the system.
Okay, so they find the door. Now, usually this is where you would need some complex code or, a brute force attack to break in. But what do?
They tried a test account. They just guessed. Username, 123456. Password, 123456.
I have to stop you there. I'm trying to process that. No multi-factor authentication. No, please enter a special character, a number, and the blood of a unicorn just. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No MFA, no complexity requirements. It was a legacy test account. According to Paradox AI, it should have been deleted ages ago. But it wasn't. It was left active. And just like that, the researchers had administrative access.
That is terrifying. It's like leaving the keys in the ignition of a Ferrari in the middle of a city. But wait, getting in is one thing. Being inside doesn't necessarily mean you can see everything, right? I mean, usually there are internal walls or permissions.
You would hope so. But this brings us to the second part of the disaster. Once they were in, they found a technical flaw known as IDOR.
IDOR, I saw that in the notes. Insecure Direct Object Reference. That sounds incredibly dry and technical. Can you translate that for us?
Think of it like a coat check at a theater. You hand in your coat and you get ticket number 100. When the show is over, you give them ticket 100 and the attendant checks, okay, does this person actually own coat 100? Yes, here's the coat.
Right. Standard procedure.
An IDOR vulnerability is like handing over ticket 100, getting your coat, and then realizing, wait a minute, you take a Sharpie, cross out 100, write 101, hand it back to the attendant, and they just hand you coat 101 without checking who you are.
So the system isn't checking authorization, it's just checking the number.
Precisely. The researchers realized they could just look at the web address, the URL, in their browser. It had an applicant ID number at the end. They changed that number from, say, 1000 to 1001, hit enter, and suddenly they were looking at a completely different person's application.
So they didn't even need to hack a database. They just had to change the page number like they were skipping chapters in a digital book.
That's it. They could just cycle through the numbers.
And we aren't talking about a few dozen people here. What was the blast radius?
The estimate is around 64 million applicant records.
64 million. That is staggering. That is the population of a large country.
It's huge, and we need to ask the so what here. Because often, companies will try to downplay this. They'll say, well, look, no credit card numbers were stolen, no passwords were leaked, it's just names and emails.
I hear that a lot. It's just public info. But is it?
I mean, think about who applies to McDonald's. It's often young people, maybe their first job. They aren't cynical about cybersecurity yet.
Right. And if I'm a scammer, and I have your full name, your phone number, and I know for a fact you just applied to McDonald's.
You are sitting on a gold mine for social engineering. Imagine getting a text. Hi, this is McDonald's HR. Great news, you're hired. We just need you to confirm your bank details for the direct deposit setup. Click this link.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would click that. If I were 16 and waiting for that job, I'd click that in a heartbeat.
Exactly. It's high-octane fuel for phishing because it adds context. It makes the lie believable. Now, to their credit, Paradox AI fixed this the same day it was reported.
Okay, that's good.
They secured the account and launched a bug bounty program to encourage researchers to find other bugs.
Which is good. But the damage to trust, that's hard to fix. It really emphasizes that your security is only as strong as your vendor's worst password.
Precisely. But that was the oops moment. That was negligence. I want to pivot to the second layer of our sandwich. Because while the U.S. side was dealing with an exposure, McDonald's India was dealing with a siege.
Yes. Let's talk about the Everest Group. This feels very different. This isn't someone stumbling onto a login page because of bad UI.
No. As of late January 2026, the Everest Ransomware Group claimed a major breach of McDonald's India. And they aren't researchers. They are criminals.
And they didn't just look at the data, right? They took it.
They claim to have exfiltrated 861 gigabytes of data. And the variety here is concerning. We aren't just talking about applicant names anymore. They claim to have financial reports, audit trails, store manager contact info, and even customer data.
Why financial reports and audit trails? What does a hacker do with that?
Leverage. If I steal your customer list, that's bad. If I steal your internal financial audits that show where you're losing money, or maybe internal discussions about strategy, that's corporate blackmail material.
I see. It's not just about selling the data on the dark web. It's about forcing the company to pay up to keep it quiet.
Exactly. They issued a 48-hour deadline. This is classic double extortion. Step 1, encrypt the files so the company can't operate. Step 2, steal the files and threaten to leak them to the public or competitors if the ransom isn't paid.
It's a brutal business model.
It is. And putting these two events side by side really paints the picture. You have to defend against the intern at your vendor who sets a bad password, and you have to defend against a criminal syndicate operating out of a basement halfway across the world using sophisticated tools.
Which brings us to the big question. If the humans are failing at the basics, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the bad guys are getting this aggressive, How do we actually stop this? It feels like we're losing.
It can feel that way. But this is where we need to change our philosophy. We have these white papers from Symantec here, and they talk about something called integrated cyber defense.
Right, let's talk about Symantec Synapse. I read through the docs, and the core problem they identify is something called alert fatigue. Can you explain that? Because I feel like we all have fatigue these days.
Imagine you are a security guard. But instead of watching one building, you have to watch 100 screens. One screen is for email. One is for the network traffic. One is for the laptops. And every screen is beeping constantly.
You'd eventually just stop hearing the beeps, or you'd just assume it's nothing.
Exactly. That is the reality for security analysts. They have too many tools that don't talk to each other. So the email filter sees something weird and blocks it. Great. But it doesn't tell the network firewall. And the firewall doesn't tell the antivirus on the laptop.
So the bad guys just try every door until one opens.
Yes. And because the tools aren't sharing notes, the attackers slip through the cracks. Synapse is designed to be the correlation engine. It sits in the middle and connects the dots between the endpoint, the network, and the email.
There was a really specific example in the source material that I loved, the user A, user B scenario. I think this makes it concrete. Walk us through how that plays out.
Okay. So imagine user A receives a malicious email. It has a link to a phishing site. The corporate email security system is doing its job. It scans the link, realizes it's bad, and blocks it. User A is safe.
System works. High five. User A doesn't even know they were targeted.
But attackers are smart. They know the email filter blocked it, so they try a side channel. Later that day, user B is on their work laptop, but they check their personal email, maybe Gmail or Yahoo Webmail.
And the corporate email filter doesn't scan my personal Gmail, right? It can't see inside my private account.
Generally, no. So the bad link gets through to user B because it came in the side door. User B clicks the link, they download a file. Now, in a traditional setup, the antivirus on the laptop might scan it, but if it's a brand new virus, a 0-day, it might not look malicious yet.
So user B is infected. And usually the security team wouldn't know until it's too late.
In the old world, yes. But with Synapse, the system has a memory. It connects the events. It says, wait a minute, user B just downloaded a file. The digital fingerprint, the hash of this file, matches the payload from that bad URL we blocked for user A this morning.
That is the aha moment. It learns from the failed attack on user A to catch the successful attack on user B.
Precisely. It links the intelligence from the email system to the activity on the endpoint. And suddenly, the analyst gets a high-priority alert. It's not just suspicious file. It's confirmed malicious file known for previous email attack.
And the remediation. Because speed matters here. If user B has ransomware, seconds count.
That's the single-click remediation. Because the system sees the attack as an organism, that's the term they use, spreading across devices, you can blacklist that file instantly. You can quarantine user B's laptop, delete the file, and block it for everyone else in the company, all from one dashboard.
It really is like an immune system. Your body learns from a virus in your nose to protect your lungs.
That's the perfect analogy. It turns the network into a cohesive organism rather than a bunch of separate Band-Aids.
Okay, so that handles the malware coming in. But let's go back to the McDonald's India breach. You mentioned they stole financial reports and audit trails. To get that kind of stuff, you usually have to move around the network, right? You don't just land on a receptionist's laptop and find the secret financials folder right there on the desktop.
Exactly. You have to move laterally. You land on a weak point like that receptionist's laptop, and then you hunt for the administrator credentials to get to the server room. And the map for that journey is usually Active Directory or AD.
Active Directory. We hear this term a lot in these deep dives. It's the keys to the kingdom.
It is the phone book and the keychain for the entire enterprise. It controls who has access to what. If an attacker owns your Active Directory, they own your company. They can create new users, delete backups, access everything.
So how does Symantec protect that? Because once they are inside, aren't they already past the firewall? It feels like the burglar is already in the house.
They are. And this is where the strategy shifts from blocking to deception. This is Symantec Endpoint Threat Defense for AD, and honestly, it sounds like something out of a spy movie.
I saw the term memory manipulation in the notes. That sounds aggressive.
It's incredibly clever. The system essentially hallucinates fake credentials into the memory of the computer.
Wait, so when the attacker looks at the memory of the computer they hacked, they see things that aren't there.
Exactly. They see a hall of mirrors. Let's say the attacker uses a tool like Mimikatz. That's a very common tool hackers use to scrape passwords from a computer's memory. They run the tool, and they see a list of administrator accounts. Oh, look, admin finance, server master, backup admin.
But they aren't real.
None of them are real. They're ghosts. But the attacker doesn't know that. They grab those credentials and try to use them to log into the finance server.
And what happens when they use a ghost key?
The moment they use that fake credential, they trigger a high-fidelity alarm because nobody legitimate would ever use that account. It doesn't exist for real users. So the system knows with 100% certainty we have an intruder on this machine trying to move laterally.
That is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It forces the attacker to play a game where the map is fake.
It changes the game theory. Usually, the attacker has the advantage. They only need to be right once to get in. The defender has to be right every time. But with deception, if the attacker picks the wrong credential just once, they reveal themselves.
It turns their own tools against them. It makes you think of those cartoons where the coyote paints a tunnel on a wall, but this time the tunnel is actually a trap.
Exactly. And the documents also mention something called dark corners.
That sounds ominous.
It does. Dark corners refers to the hidden misconfigurations in Active Directory. Things like golden ticket vulnerabilities or DC sync attacks. These are deep structural weaknesses that often go unnoticed for years because nobody looks for them. The Symantec system proactively hunts for these.
So it's not just setting traps, it's also fixing the cracks in the foundation.
Exactly. It's cleaning up the messy basement so the rats have nowhere to hide.
So bringing this all together, we started with the absurdity of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at a massive global burger chain. We saw how a chatbot named Olivia left the back door open. We saw the brutal reality of ransomware with the Everest Group.
And we've seen that the defense can't just be train people better. I mean, training is essential. We call it the human firewall.
Right. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's step 1.
That is the baseline. But we have to assume humans will fail. We have to assume a vendor will leave a test account open. That's why you need the technological safety net, the synapse correlation to catch the phishing that slips through, and the Active Directory deception to trap the hacker who is already inside.
It's layers. The human layer, the immune system layer, and the trap layer.
Ideally, yes. You want to make the attacker's life as miserable and confusing as possible.
I like that. Make them miserable.
But there is one thing that still keeps me up at night, even with all this tech.
What's that?
It goes back to the McDonald's US breach. McDonald's itself might have had great security. They probably have a fantastic security team. But they hired a vendor, Paradox AI, and that vendor left the key under the mat.
That's a really provocative thought to leave our listeners with. You can build the highest walls and the deepest moats around your castle. You can have AI defenses and deception traps.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give a key to a contractor,
and that contractor uses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are you ever truly secure? It raises the question of third-party risk. Your security perimeter doesn't end at your office walls anymore. It extends to every vendor, every chatbot, and every piece of software you integrate.
a sobering thought to end on. If you're listening to this, maybe go change your password. And if you manage a network, maybe check what your vendors are doing.
And definitely turn on MFA.
Please, for the love of everything, turn on MFA. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.